Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on Facebook today or wherever you're watching this streamed for my live signing. My new book, my novel, The Wig, the Bitch, and the Meltdown is out today. It is August 3rd, 2020. And with me, I've got two really good friends. They really need no introduction. You have got Miss Eva, the winner of America's Next Top Model, Cycle 3, who's gone on to do everything in the world with glowing skin, looking gorgeous. Look at her.
Thank you. Well, I had to come for your book's birthday.
Thank you. Yes,
August
it's the birthday.
3rd. It's your book's birthday. I'm so excited. And we also have someone else from Top Model.
Yes, we've got Miss Sutan, AKA Raja, who was our head makeup artist extraordinaire. I call him an illusion master. He even has a mention in my book.
Yes,
and has gone on to win. He's like, yes. And what page is it on, Sutan?
We'll talk about it in a minute. Go ahead. Keep the intro going.
Oh, yes. No, I was just going to say, because you've also got, you want to talk about talent. This man has so much talent. It's beyond. And he went on to win RuPaul's Drag Race. And you've gone on to be, I mean, you're just every woman. You're every person. Really?
Oh, that's awesome, Jay. You know what I didn't even really think about, because I have consumed copious amounts of marijuana in my lifetime. So perhaps my memory is a little bit slow, but both me and Eva are season 3 winners.
Yes,
what?
Look at you.
I did not even think about that.
And today is August 3rd. So it must be
And today's August 3rd.
It's a 3 thing.
The number.
Bitch, we are who's playing the lottery today? We were doing only 3s and odd numbers. Let's do this, sis.
Whoever wins, I get a split, okay? So if you guys
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think
we're
about
season 3.
Yes. Speaking of that, I was talking earlier, thinking about not only did you do Drag Race, like Drag Race is nominated for Emmy after Emmy, and now nominated yet again for another Emmy. And Jay, you can say doing Top Model, launching a show that small and seeing how big it has become, to now you're literally writing the lives of these women. How did we get to the point to where Jay Manuel, the extraordinaire, the fashion maven, is writing a novel about everything fierce? How did we get here?
Well, yeah, and I'm going to sign as we're talking. Look, I'm surrounded in books. They're stacked literally right next to me. So with the book is a work of fiction. And you know what? I was just, when you've lived and worked in this world for so many years, you meet an interesting group of characters. We'll put it that way. Wouldn't you say, Isa? A lot of interesting characters. And honestly, I wanted to write a fun piece of satire. It is a work of fiction, but it is inspired by my life, not only just on America's Next Top Model, but the entire entertainment industry. And a lot of people don't know that I did do writing when I was at NYU, but people only know me in the lifestyle space.
Yes, NYU.
So I felt like it was time to kind of shatter that box that everyone keeps me in. And, I kind of disappeared when I started writing this book because it's so isolating, and I wrote it myself. There's no ghostwriter. And I just kind of dug into the work. And fascinatingly enough, I got to speak with and interview a couple of psychologists, because I really wanted to look at the psychology around these unique characters and how they come together and collide and clash. And, you see this, you go through this crazy roller coaster ride in the book. And not to spoil it for anyone who hasn't read it yet, but towards the end, in the last third of the book, I kind of blur the lines and I break the fourth wall. It becomes very meta. But really it's this kind of metafictional element or mechanism that really goes against literary convention. And ultimately it kind of wakes the reader to look at their own world. So it's meant to be a lot of fun, and you just can laugh all the way through it. You'll probably talk to the book actually at times. but I also wanted people to kind of, for those who want to dig deeper and look at these characters and their struggles and the psychology around why they're doing certain things, there is a gravitas to this whole piece.
For sure.
And I wanted to hit on some core themes that I think everyone can relate to. One, what is the cost of fame? Two, looking at specifically in the book, the entertainment industry and its kind of rampant abuse of power, but ultimately how that translates to everyone at home. How do we deal with power struggles in the workplace?
Absolutely.
And then really important to me was looking at how the entertainment industry deals with intersectionality and Black women's identity, because clearly that creates a pressure cooker, you know, for these women, these powerful queens on television, and what they have to kind of deal with in an industry that's predominantly run by men. And you know, there are all the other kind of facets to that very complex place where one has to stand up and be themselves. So, you know, again, it sounds serious, but the book is meant to be a lot of fun, satire. I just have a blast with it. So
I have a fun question from one of your fans that wants to know, her name is Maria from Melbourne, and she wants to know, what was the hardest thing about writing this book, and what was the biggest journey and thing you learned about yourself while writing this book?
Wow, that's such a great question. So I'll start with the end of the question. I actually learned, I got, you know, when you write it, well, this is a really emotional answer, actually.
We're not authors, Jay. We don't know. You're the author.
Well, no, so it's such an emotional journey ultimately, because, you know, we work in a world of entertainment where everything's collaboration. So when you write, it's so isolating, and most people find that, you know, nerve-wracking or off-putting. At first, I was a little nervous, but ultimately, I got to know myself in a way that was so profound. You know, the character, you know, Pablo Michaels is inspired by me, but he's not really me. But I wanted to put a very vulnerable part of my life in his character, which is around my own personal adoption. And I was adopted. People don't know that. I think I
learned. I did not know.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of bring that storyline into the book. And so that became a very, very powerful thing to write in, you know, on the page. And it's part of the main story. And then there are a lot of twists and turns with that. So that was very vulnerable. But what I learned in kind of working with myself and sometimes writing, you know, 14, 15-hour days, 6, 7 days at a time, you know, without any communication with anyone, which, by the way, I used to think writers were all bougie, like, I need to be alone, I can't be disturbed. Then I start really writing and getting into, like, especially my second and third drafts of the book, I had to like cut off the world. You end up living in the world. And even though these characters are inspired by people within my life, they are their own characters. So they come alive on the page. So I guess the thing that I learned the most about myself was how to find an extreme place of joy in being very, very alone and isolated and exploring all of my emotions, because ultimately there's a piece of me in every character in the book, you know.
I have a question about the isolation thing, because I really, you know, we've talked about this before. I prefer the isolation, but how isolated were you? Were you still on your phone? Like,
no,
you just stayed off. You were like not on Facebook, not on nothing. You just let it go.
People, you know, it was really weird because, you know, I would get calls from people who I think in today's world, we mostly catch up on Instagram and social with each other. I know that's how I see a lot of what Eva's doing on a day-to-day, and Eva is busy. You too, Sultan. You know, even before the pandemic, you're somewhere every other day, it feels like. But I started getting texts from people saying, are you okay? You're not on social. What are you doing? Like, is everything all right? And yeah, my phone was off, was in airplane mode. And because I typed on my computer, I had to turn the alerts off. And I would only check my emails and texts kind of like at night. And there were friends who didn't understand that. They felt, my friends know I'm there for them. So they didn't understand when I wasn't as available. And that was the difficult part of the journey to answer that question that you read earlier, Eva. That was the hardest part, where really managing relationships, because people didn't understand the isolation, and I didn't know I was going to become that isolated. But I had to kind of create something this kind of fantastical and funny, you know, because you have to keep reading through it and finding the humor everywhere.
That's a discipline that I don't understand, and you have always been a beacon of like that kind of person that I'm not. You're the guy that gets up in the morning at 5 a.m. to do a workout, and then you meditate, and then you write a piece in your book, and then you're on top of it. And shit, honey, that's a lot of work, and you should be very, very proud of the accomplishment. So.
You know what they say, the best way to show self-love is by dedication and sacrifice. And so if you were to be an example, and not by words, but just your sheer dedication to yourself, to these characters, and to this book, it's the best way you could have loved yourself in the last year, is to show that everything else you can put aside. But speaking to these characters, Sutan, you obviously, okay, so if this was to go into a series, you would be playing you. You'd be playing your own
Please,
character.
I need to be more on TV. I need more TV time. So please. Is anyone at Netflix watching? This is a fucking series and I need a role.
You know, to answer your question,
I can learn lines, I think.
Eva, to answer your question, so again, you know, the world of, so the show, look, I should start signing these, even though, you know.
Yes. Oh, yeah. By the way, Jay is signing these right now. There's a link you can click right now and get your signed autograph copy. I have mine, honey. They are sold out on, honey, get it now. They're going fast. Click the link and get your signed autograph copy. But I want to know, if you made a character, if you made this into a TV series, who would your favorite characters be, and who's your dream cast?
So this is great. This is a great question. I'm gonna have to close the pen for a second to answer this because I get so into this. Basically, oh, and by the way, for those wondering, with Premier Collectibles, these autograph books, which I've been up late last night signing, and I will continue signing today, they ship all around the world. So if you click onto this link or click in the link above or below this video, Premier Collectibles will ship it anywhere in the world. You'll get an autograph copy that was physically in my hands. I'm signing all of them myself. But so Eva, to answer your question, the world of Model Muse, okay, which is inspired by America's Next Top Model, is actually, you know, a fictitious reality, you know, model competition reality show with a host named Keisha Kash. But what I wanted to do in the book, and you learn it very quickly, so I'm not spoiling the story, you learn very quickly that this show exists within the real world. So out of the gate in chapter 1, it's the backstage of a fashion show with Michael Kors. And you start learning there are other real notable fashion celebrities in the book. We've got Christian Siriano, Coco Rocha, Fern Malice, who started New York Fashion Week. They're in the book to kind of set the stage that this is happening now. With real fashion people around. But Model Muse and the characters working on that show are fictional. So where Raja, where he found his little cameo, I forget.
Yes, right here. If anybody would like to know watching, it is on page 70 at the very top of the page. Can I get a close up? Yes, there is my name, Raja.
Okay.
I have been.
Can we read an excerpt, Raja?
Oh, I surely will. Your A-list team today, legendary photographer Annie Leibovitz will be shooting.
Yes.
J-Lo's personal style team, Mariel Han and Rob Zangardi are on wardrobe, and hair and makeup illusion master, Raja.
Yes, Raja. And
we'll whip you into shape. Yeah, that's that's the paragraph.
Well,
I'm gonna get that shit tattooed on me.
Actually, Raja, when you go down the scene, Raja starts jumping in on the photo shoot, sniping when things go wrong. But we won't get into that.
Very true to life. That part is not.
Yes. But what I wanted to do is kind of, you know, pepper really important people kind of, and you know, fashion people within my life in the book. So you're kind of getting this blurred line. So yes, if it is made into a film or a series, you know, these real life fashion people will play themselves as cameos within the piece, right?
I love that.
So
yeah, I want to play Mike Ruiz.
Yeah.
You're so funny.
Speaking of the fact that your book is shipping everywhere, so no matter where in the world you're watching, you can get a signed copy of this novel. Click the link. You can get yours. Actually, we have a question from Quebec, a girl named Tania, and she wants to know, busy Jay, what outside of being fabulous and writing a book and becoming an author and soon to be a New York bestseller, what else are you doing with your fabulous career?
Well, right now it's kind of crazy because we're in the middle of our pandemic. And so obviously we're doing this book signing, which again, Eva, Sutana, I am so grateful you guys could be here with me day one when I've kind of like birthed this baby to the world, which is,
Yeah.
by the way, so
I'm
scary.
not crying. I'm not crying.
But you
I
cut
swear
the
to God, I'm not
umbilical
crying.
cord, though. You cut the umbilical cord, remember?
Yes, yeah, I know the train has left the building. And oh, you know what they always say? Because so you guys all know I like to be a bit of a perfectionist, right? So you know when the final
A
book,
bit.
well, I let go of that
If
title.
Type A was a person.
Well, I've tried to let go of it because I kind of feel that perfectionism implies that you're trying to put up this impenetrable shield to the world. So I've let go of that. And so the first time I got the finished book in my hands, you know, I was reading it. I mean, I've read it how many times? I wrote it. And then I'm skimming, and then I get to chapter 22, and I found one typeset issue. It's okay. It's the word the. It's not a big deal. But of course, you know, I panicked.
Oh my,
Oh
It
my
happened.
God.
You know what? I put up something on Instagram today, and I said about being flawed and being imperfect, but being stitched with good intentions.
Yes.
And so it just reminds you of your humanity, all the work that you've gone through, all the work that your team has gone through to put this in the book is amazing. I didn't even see the typo, but that even still, we will still down to the smallest thing try to find perfection. In the smallest,
Which is ridiculous. There's no such thing. And actually, one of the powerful things I learned with writing, and I forget who said it first. You know, there was one poet. There's also been a writer that's has kind of adopted this, but I believe it was Leonardo da Vinci who said it first. That art is never finished. It's only abandoned. And it is true with writing. What I learned was, you know, and as a first-time novelist, first book ever. That I had to just get to a place where I'm like, it's okay. It's okay to let it go now. And I got to that point, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. And I had a lot of fun. You know, there's some heartbreaking moments. There's some hilarious moments. And girl, you clutch your pearls at some parts. And the ending is something that no one sees coming. And I don't know if you guys got this sense, but everyone has said, wow, your book is just so fast paced. But I wanted to kind of mirror the relentless kind of pace of working behind the scenes on a show like this, so the reader feels it. It's what I wanted them to feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of the show, and Roger, you answer one of these questions too, because you've been on a couple of crazy shows. So, Jay, which contestants, and this question is from Dominique from New Jersey. She would like to know which contestant drove you the craziest on America's Next Top Model.
Well, now we can't say Eva. We can't say
Can
Eva.
I answer
No.
that?
I know,
I'm just
crazy. I know. I said that stairwell smoking cigarettes. I was so stressed out.
Actually, Eva, you know what? You know, if honestly, and there's this no BS here, you weren't difficult to deal with. There were girls that were difficult to deal with. What I actually saw in you, going back years now, oh my God, like 2005, right?
Yeah. No,
I would
2004. We came out and
we shot that.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, Eva, how old were you then?
I was 18. I'm 30.
Oh my God.
I know.
A baby.
I know. I was explaining to Jay, like I don't think he understands how much of what he gave me for this business. When he was doing it, I think hell, it's a job, right? So I think part of it was I'm doing my job and I want to give these girls some nuggets. But what Jay gave me was a sense of self that I think would have taken me years to realize.
Wow.
I learned the summer with him because of the magic that is him. And that is what you see in this book. Is the world that he went through. So the crazy contestants, I know, I mean, I maybe wasn't the craziest, but what are some of the most bizarre moments?
Sure. Yeah, we have bizarre moments. And by the way, I just want to say thank you for what you said. And I never really looked at the show as just a job. I really came to work every day, those long shoots, thinking my job is really to make sure each girl puts their best foot forward. And, you know, some girls have to push, some you have to handhold, So it all depended on the personality. I was always kind of reading and making sure that they felt supported, really. And by the way, I think your only moment, their difficult moment, was on makeover day when we wanted to color your hair for the first time. But now you know how to rock the honey blonde, even these braids, girl, that look gorgeous.
But you gave me that. I wore my hair short and platinum for 15 years because of you. And I cried like a child when you wanted to cut my hair. I thought I was going to look like a boy because I'm so flat chested and just awkward. And I am a little gay boy in a slightly woman's body. One was going to be confused about what I am. And he gave me of confidence, like, girl, it doesn't matter what your hair looks like. It doesn't matter what color it is, how long, how short, how thick.
You're going to serve it.
Serve it, which leads me to my next question. I have
we
a
didn't,
question.
Did we answer the last question? Oh, the contestant that was the worst.
Yes.
The contestant that was the probably, well, I guess the way the audience views it, honestly, if you go all the way back to season 1, there was a moment, and everyone quotes this online, with Nicole, the girl Nicole, and she was talking about something with her weave, and I said, well, you can go back and, I forget, something about, do you want to go back home and work at Burger King or whatever? And actually, Tyra and the girls sent me in after the makeovers because all the girls were so upset, and I had to go in and kind of lay the law, and I remember Robin trying to talk back to me, who I actually loved. And I said, well, you can go back, and what are you going to just go back and be Miss Soy Milk or whatever? And she goes, no, I'm Miss Soybean. And I said, soybean, soy latte, whatever. And I remember that moment. Like, the girls in the beginning, they were just not having a lot of stuff. So that was kind of craziness.
You know what I did it so much is it, like your book, it gives you the side that you really don't, and you kind of see like the finished product and just like drag race, like you see the time, yes, you want that signature, and click a link and get your signed book. But just like you see him walk into the workroom and then magic happens and everything is just like completely different, and that's the beauty of aesthetics. But if you look back 15,
absolutely,
so different. So what is your take on the effects of social media and vanity, especially when it pertains to mental health?
Yes.
In the current situation, with us being quarantined and getting our ideas of beauty from, social media?
I've got a great answer for that. And it's something that I thought long and hard about when I wrote the book, and it's kind of baked into the narrative. If we look at if we look at reality television, it is ultimately the birth mother of social media. And social media, we all have the opportunity to be a part of. We get to video ourselves. We've got stories. We can shoot pictures. But look at the psychology of what's going on right now. And this is where you're going to tell that I spent a lot of time with psychologists.
Yes,
in writing this. Ultimately, what has happened is people shoot things. We've got to get the best outfit, or we'll take a photo in the dressing room and get like this cool outfit we want to buy but can't buy. But we're going to put it out in the world and say, look at this. Love me for what I'm not. What does that ultimately do to the human spirit? So I feel like, part of what I was trying to show and illustrate in the book is to show how reality television, being that birth mother, has kind of started to create this pyramid of chaos. Social media is baked into it. We are all kind of as a humanity, we're suffering kind of the effects of this. And how do we get back to really loving ourselves? Because my book, the overall narrative ultimately is, this is a journey of self. It is a journey of awakening to who we are and that we are enough, and finding our own validation and not looking outside for external validation. So yeah, that was a really great question.
Absolutely.
I have a question, and this might be touchy and personal, but has Tyra read the book, and have you heard from her?
That's a good question.
Or are people close to her responding to it? Because there's so many parallels. I know that this is a novel, and it's not necessarily an entirely true story, but it does come from your own reality.
We as writers, all writers, we write what know. So we used experiences. It is a work of fiction. And so it is inspired by, my relationship there. I have not heard from her since the book is announced. And for me, I think ultimately what I wanted to do with all of the characters in the book, because there are several, is to have a 360 approach so that you understand who they are, what their vulnerabilities are, what their insecurities are, and ultimately in driving decisions that we see on the surface. So,
Gotcha.
I just hope that when people read it, it's meant to, I poke fun at myself. It's meant to be fun, but at the same time, it's also meant to explore and really show the love and the support that was there, because I will forever to this day respect everything Tyra has done and representing, for young brown and black girls and boys out there, and stomping down and pushing so many doors and barriers. So I respect her and what she's done and what she represents, and that will never change. So, and the last time I actually saw her, which was only a couple of years ago, and she emailed me right after, we just talked about her son, and I saw the light in her eyes and how happy she is. So yeah, I just send so much love her way.
Absolutely. So I have a question, because you are a man of many talents and you're super stylish. Like beyond stylish. Like
I was just thinking that, like, this is so like true to life. Like anytime I've ever been around Jay, like
seriously,
he's always the one that's better dressed than everybody else. And we all like, I'm here in a tank top and I think I have pants on. And there's Jay and what is that?
A t-shirt and a jacket. But I was doing
I was gonna say Tom Ford.
It is Tom
probably
Ford, but I was doing press before. I was doing press, so I have an excuse.
Okay,
I have an excuse.
You always look fabulous. If you were to sell rugs, blankets, anything, I would buy them. And I have a question from one of your fans that says, his name is James from Albany, New York, who wants to know, do you have any thoughts about starting your own TV series on fashion tips or even home interior fashion tips? Because you are beyond stylish and they would love to be you. So
the big, oh, you're cute. I think for me, what does kind of excite me is home interiors. A lot of people don't know I have a huge passion for architecture and interior design. So that would be a huge passion of mine that would be kind of new and different for people to explore. But I will say this, while I wrote this book, I looked a hot mess. Every day.
What does Jay look like when he's a hot mess? Because
I don't believe none of that. I don't believe it.
The only thing I see is roots. That's the only thing I could think of. What is the hot mess for Jay?
So when I was actually writing the book, because I couldn't keep up my hair, so I did kind of shave like a faux hawk mohawk, so it was all black. It was growing out, so I did go mohawk. I started growing my beard, but I just didn't groom it. So it just grew out, but it didn't look like those cute guys that grow the big beards. I just looked terrible. And then I literally was wearing the most scraggy t-shirt and just like these like terrible track pants. And that's what I sat in every day. And the other time I look horrible, when we look back at some of those old America's Next Top Model cycles, yes, I know people were wearing flare leg, True Religion.
Do you still have some of those pants, Jay?
No, thank God.
Wait, I want some. You must have some, because they're back now. Yeah, see? They're back now. Why you throw those out?
Actually, I have a question for you, and it's most likely the number one question that anyone is going to ask you. It is what helped launch my career, which is, what if you could give someone starting out as a model some advice, especially with today's world? What piece of advice would you give to an aspiring model, Jay, and you too, Sultan, because you have a lot of experience also?
I think ultimately, I think anyone who wants to step out into the industry should realize that, and it is true today. I mean, they're looking for these super brands, really. So personality, confidence, belief in yourself. And also a lot of young women and men stop me on the streets and say, oh, I want to be a model. and they say, I want to be a high fashion model. And let's say it's a girl who's like 5'5" or a guy who's like 5'6". And I'm always very, very honest. I'm just like, look, it's going to be difficult to be on a high fashion runway, even though they're trying to become a little more inclusive, but just shorter models are not going to be on high fashion runways. But don't forget, the world of commercial modeling is huge. You could sell like laundry detergent, toothpaste, whatever, and you can make more money than a high fashion model. So I always tell people that, yep.
Yes.
No, I think that fashion as an industry is making huge adjustments because it has no other fucking choice but to.
Right.
People's minds are not going for that tall, skinny Eastern European model with no smile.
Yeah.
It's now about some thick girls, boys, trans, queer, non-binary. That's the conversation now. So I am hopeful, and I like that we are suddenly having to change how fashion works through this COVID thing. You know, all of the fashion shows that I've watched have been these beautiful art films that show the clothing rather than just models marching, non-smiling, mostly white. You know, just that I think that is kind of like, that's a dwindling idea. Like that part of fashion is changing.
Russia in there, honey. You can't just do what you used to do.
And perhaps there's the idea of models once again having personality that will save fashion, because you know, I watch old videos all the time of Pat Cleveland. She looks crazy now.
Yes.
If you saw her on a runway now, you would think she was insane. But back then, it was her, and it was like, I am a black model, and check me out on the runway. And I think those concepts are coming back, and it's about time. It takes about 30 years for concepts to return.
And do you know who's leading? Do you know who's leading the way with this? And it's Edward Enninful. And I've got to tell you, I've worked with Edward, you know, years ago, and because he used to, you know, creative direct a lot of major, you know, campaigns. We did a campaign like for Tommy Hilfiger together, for example. But seeing him head up British Vogue, if you look at the masthead, like they did a photograph of what British Vogue staff looked like before, and now with under Edward, you see all the colors of the rainbow. Because where we're going to affect change is having, you know, people behind the scenes truly being represented and inclusive and telling their own stories. That's when we're going to start to see change in the. And by the way, can I tell you something really personal about writing the book? So I'm telling this story very authentically, right? In that, I mean, we're talking in the literary world right now, they want more inclusivity. However, in the literary world, they like their very kind of their stories to be very specific. It's either about the South, or it could be about slavery, et cetera, when it's dealing with people of color. Whereas being a part of a franchise like America's Next Top Model, that was a huge mainstream show. You had Tyra leading the helm, myself, I'm biracial, you had Miss J, you know, and even Nigel, who's part Sri Lankan. So, you know, you really had such a great group of, you know, talent. There were all different ethnicities. And I wanted to represent that in my book. And when I first submitted the book to my agent, who, by the way, said, she goes, oh, this kind of reads like Black Mirror for the literary world. But someone else on the team, because there's a big twist. There's a huge twist that happens like right in this part of the book. I did that real fast. But the thing that was really kind of upsetting to me is someone wanted me to say, well, what if Keisha was Kirsten? What if she was a white supermodel?
Yeah.
And I said, that's really very interesting, because I doubt anybody went to Lauren Weissenberger and said, hey, you know what? I don't think we should make Miranda Priestley white. Maybe she should be, you know, Chinese or Black or Latin. No one said that to her. But yet, when you have someone who's a person of color, they're like, well, what if you kind of do, you know, can you imagine if I did that? Even though this is not, you know, this is a character. Keisha Kash is a character of my imagination, but it's an inspired character. Why couldn't I not have her be a beautiful, she's a dark-skinned chocolate queen. She's everything. And Pablo, when he meets her in the first chapter, he reveres her. He's revered her since he's been a teenager. Why can't we have that kind of messaging out there? So I wanted to keep it authentic. So again, you know, for those watching or tuning in right now, we're talking about my new book, and on Premier Collectibles right now, I'm signing these copies and talking, but if you click the link above or below this feed, they can ship you one of these autograph copies worldwide. Yes, Eva's going to show her autograph
I
personalized
have my
to her.
autograph copy. Believe me, they are going quickly. So get yours now. They literally launched today. Today is the birthday, August the 3rd, but literally they are flying off the shelves and are going into mailboxes. So click the link, get your autograph copy now. I do have a question, another top model. May I?
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
Which out of all these 70,000 seasons of Top Model, if you look back and don't even consider me, what was your favorite season of America's Next Top Model?
Well, I have favorite moments. It's so hard for me to pick a favorite season. It's literally it's almost impossible. I've been asked this question so many times, but there were milestone moments for me when I was pulling off the impossible, because people don't realize I worked more behind the scenes than on camera. I literally hired all the creative talent on the show, photographers, hair, makeup, etc. Like I met the wonderful Sutan after Matthew Anderson had agreed to do the show with Danilo for a couple of seasons. Remember, Eva, you worked with them, yeah? And then that's how we met Sutan. And actually Sutan was there that day, the one time I did drag, which Eva, you were there for. And I surprised. By the way, did you guys really not know that was me when I walked around the corner? Really?
No, you were big fish. We had no clue. Like no.
Jay, you actually said you were going to give me that costume, and it's been years since
wait, do you know
that
what
was
Sutan?
said to me.
I do have it. I do
give
have
it to me.
Do you want me to ship it to you? Because you know Zaldi made that.
I doubt it would fit me, but yeah, if you're not going to wear it anymore, shit.
I won't wear it.
I'll take a Jamie down.
Okay, it's a Zaldi creation. But yeah, you guys didn't know that was me. So that was a crazy moment. But yeah, for me, I guess the moments like in cycle 4, the walking on water runway that I did was a final runway in South Africa.
Yeah.
That was a great moment. And then even moments like when we were, a lot of the runways I remember, because in Amsterdam, creating that kind of Willy Wonka pink runway that was like very Dr. Seuss, that was a great moment. But I guess one of my favorite, I'll say my favorite away location was Morocco, the cycle we went to Morocco.
Why?
Because I felt like, first of all, I'd never been to Morocco before, and I've traveled extensively around the world, and I always was afraid of it because I heard a lot of people would get food poisoning. But we shot there for 3 weeks, and it was such a magical place to be. You know, I can see why Yves Saint Laurent was so inspired and spent so much of his time there. Yes. I would get lost in the souk, which is the market of Marrakesh. And I felt like I came home. I don't know how to describe it. I've never felt like that anywhere in the world.
Go to Morocco, they say, welcome home.
Yeah, I felt like I was home. I don't know how, I don't know why I felt that way. And I didn't want to leave. And yeah, so I really, really love that. But then I can tell you my worst ever experience on Top Model was your cycle. And I'm going to tell you what.
I was going to say, baby.
And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. So cycle three of America's Next Top Model, people wanted, here, this is tea. This is tea. Let me.
No, this is the real.
This is real tea. So what ended up happening was I got this. So this was the first cycle that we had CoverGirl as a sponsor. And, you know, I had the pressure of creating that CoverGirl ad, which I mean, Eva slayed in that last episode. But when we flew to Tokyo, I was supposed to produce a commercial and they gave me a huge budget. Now production hands me the budget and I'm in charge of it. So I hired a famous director. We built this, Eva, you never got to see it. We built this huge set. It was literally so cinematic. This was gonna rock the world. It would have been like nothing we ever did on Top Model. And we actually never did it again because they were afraid they were gonna lose the money like what happened. Because then when you guys flew in, and then what happened was you guys just, the contestants flying with a Wrangler, and then the border customs would not let you guys in.
Well, let me tell you what they thought.
I know what they thought. Tell us.
Okay, so myself and about 8 other beautiful women, Americans, come to Tokyo with no work visa, just passports. They thought we were prostitutes.
Yup.
Come
Wow.
Tokyo to work the businessmen. And so Anne, who was my best friend on the show, Anne and I, so afraid of our NDAs, made up a lie because Anne's dad was like rich and had won the lotto. So we were saying that like we lied literally to Japanese officials not to get in trouble for this American TV show. So we lied about being her dad sending us here for her graduation trip. They ended up detaining us. We spent a night in like a Japanese detention situation.
They flew you to Guam as well.
Seoul. No, we went to Seoul, Korea
Oh, to
first.
Seoul, Korea. Oh.
Then Guam. When I tell you I was so exhausted, I needed the biggest joint and cigarette. But no one ever knew. And we never got to see what you did because we were 4 days late.
Yeah, so what happened was it was the second time ever, I think, in the history of the show that we shut down production. But then in Tokyo, just so that you know the way it works, they're very kind of respectful people. You have to pay them. So we built this set. It's rigged. You guys are supposed to land and do this commercial with me. Epic commercial in Tokyo. And then what happened was when you guys were detained and the whole thing shut down, the team said, well, we got to pull everything down. So they tore down the set. Everyone was paid for in advance, couldn't work on the show. So when you guys finally showed up, we were days behind. They wanted to go into judging. So they said to me, well, I have no budget. I had no set. So the director took pity on me because I was almost in tears and I worked hard to secure him. So he said he would show up and they literally gave us the reality cameras, like that we shoot the show on. And we were in the garden outside in the hotel where the judging was. Yeah, the Campbell soup. And we gave you guys the robes from the hotel to wear because I lost wardrobe too, because the wardrobe stylist got deported. Remember, she was with you.
Everybody.
It was awful, awful.
It was
Hence why, and if you think that's some tea, let me tell you, when you read this book, like I said, you write what you know. And I'm going to quote Elizabeth Gilbert said this in an interview with Oprah. She says, every novel is really a memoir and every memoir is really a novel. If you want to learn the most about a person, read their novel. And I found that so profound.
Yes.
Because you get to have a lot more fun with fiction, but you get to really, work it all out of your system.
What was the quote that you said at the beginning? God, I'm trying to remember it and I couldn't find a pen to write it down. And now
in my book or at the very beginning? Oh, about art. Yes, art is never finished. It's only abandoned, which is true.
Do you know who said that?
Well, everyone tends to.
I'm going to look it up.
Because they say writing is never finished, it's only abandoned, or poetry is never finished. But I believe Leonardo da Vinci said it about art first.
Amazing.
I believe. I'm not 100%, but everybody has adopted that phrase. So
I'm using that phrase right now today in my life.
Yeah, it's my caption on my Instagram post. Absolutely. I know that you have jumped into the author hat. What can we expect? Can I expect more books from you? What can we expect with this whole, Jay Manuel, the author?
Well, Jay Manuel, the author, did not want to just write one book. And, depending on how people receive this book, I absolutely, and no joke, I have my whole folder across my desk over there. I've arced out the story for book 2 that takes place with these characters. And there's a whole group of characters in here that are a lot of fun. By the way, everybody loves De La Renta. So for some reason, because he's my truth sayer. So he's always he's the one really spilling the tea all the time. He's always telling the truth. So the reader gets the real tea all the time. But I know where the story goes. And my book ends with this really interesting twist of fate. So I think book 2, I already know exactly how it opens with a big bang. But I also have, when I had to deliver my manuscript to my agent, I actually went through major withdrawal. Like the dopamine levels dropped. yeah, I didn't expect this. I thought I was going to have all this time. And I went into a quasi depression. I didn't know what to do with myself. So one morning I got up and I wanted to write. So I had dreamt this idea for a book that takes place a little bit in the future. It's a slightly dystopian tale, kind of like Black Mirror-esque. And I kind of just wrote this whole treatment and I sent it to my writing mentor, who I had a great mentor who looked at all of my drafts, and we would have like a big FaceTime session after I would do a new draft. And I sent her this and she just wrote me back, "I love it. And see, you're a writer." So I think I'm going to just keep writing stories. I love telling stories. It's a lot of fun.
Raja, can you believe that we are here on the birthday of Jay Manuel, the author, launching his first book, which if you click the link right now, you can literally get one autographed copy. I mean, what a pleasure to be here. And to, like, when you told me thank you, I'm like, please, it is literally my absolute pleasure to make this history with you. This book is going to sell out. It is going to be the first of many.
Thank you. You know, honestly, it means a lot to be here with you guys because, you know, writing the book was a bit of a stroll down memory lane. And then to kind of launch it with you guys today feels so surreal. I mean, and the other day it felt, the only other day it felt this surreal for me was the first day I saw my book kind of typeset in a digital document. So it looked like a real book, not a manuscript. And I kind of like, I got these goosebumps, and I'm not like a big crier at moments. Like, I don't mind crying, but in a moment like that, I'm like, okay, let's just keep going. But I had to stop and look at it and went, oh my God, there's a book sitting in front of me. And when I started writing, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like, am I even going to be able to write like 40,000 words? And, you know, of course you go way past that to write a full novel, but you just don't know what you can achieve until you do it. So my biggest advice to anyone, and I said it in my acknowledgements, is we all have a story to tell. And people, whether you've gone to school for a creative writing degree or not, there have been so many successful authors that haven't even gone to college or university, or successful authors that couldn't get a literary agent or a publisher.
Right.
But we all have a story. Don't let that stop you. And I felt like I was facing this big hill because everyone sees me as the fashion lifestyle guy or hosting red carpets, and who's going to take me seriously? And I just said, you know, you've got to do your thing and you have a story to tell. And I was surprised, you know, delightfully surprised to see people kind of responding to the story. And, you know, as my friends only recently just read the book, because I kept everybody out of the loop.
Everybody,
you know, getting the yeah, literally. I know you guys just got yours.
I mean, I wanted to comment really quickly. Eva asked me if I could believe that this is actually happening, and
yeah,
I can believe it because a lot of us have been through a really interesting journey. We are also of a certain age now. The things that happened, you know, that may mimic a lot of the things in this novel. Yes, they, you know, whatever. I'm just saying, you know, I can believe it because I'm part of a tribe and a circle of people who are people with imaginations, people who are focused, people who really are storytellers, and you know, and we just have it. We're stars, you know, and that's what we do. So I can believe it. I can believe that Jay's doing this, and I'm so proud of you for doing it. So.
Thank you. And, you know, everyone has to have an opportunity to tell their truths, even on like the pages of fiction. It is fiction, but there is me. My heart is beating on the page, and I will say there's one scene kind of towards the middle of the book. It's a very kind of heartbreaking twist moment where it's kind of the all is lost moment for the protagonist, Pablo Michaels. And there is a scene there that is very powerful. And when I wrote it, that was the only scene that when I wrote that, I actually bawled. I couldn't see the screen. Wow. So there, yeah, I really went fully vulnerable.
So I want to ask you a personal question, if you don't.
Sure.
Especially with what Raja just said. And it's actually one of the questions that was on my list from one of your fans. How long has this story been in you? And what is it that gave you the courage? Because like you said, we see you as a guy that's in this fancy box, beautiful box, but still in this box. How long has the story been in your heart, and what gave you the courage to say, you know what, I'm out of this box, I'm creating a new world, and I'm gonna do this? Because I think that will inspire so many to see you're successful. You didn't need to write a book for more success at all.
Yeah.
So how long has it been there, and what really made you do it?
The official answer is that, I started this, outlining this in 2014. But if I really, really, really speak the truth, I think, and I actually remember speaking to one of our executive producers on the show behind the scenes of Cycle 4. And I looked around, I said, you do know the real story is all this insanity behind the scenes. And his words to me were, oh no. And you got to remember, I'm talking 2004. Oh no, you cannot. We don't break the fourth wall. The fourth wall meaning, so for those who don't know that term, I do explain it in the book. The three sides of the world of TV is what you see. The fourth wall is where you sit. So he says, we do not break the fourth wall. We could never do that. And I said, well, have you guys thought of doing a documentary behind the scenes? Because the shit that's going on right now is just crazy. And he said, no. So I remember that was probably the seed that was planted.
A light bulb, yeah.
Cut to 2014. I realized there was this story in me. I actually dreamt the opening scene, chapter 1. It was kind of, I saw parts of it, and then when I was on a run, I saw it like a movie, and I came back and I dictated kind of the scene of chapter 1 right into my phone, so I didn't forget it. And I just felt like it was just this was just bubbling up, and I knew I was going to tell a story with these kind of core themes and tropes around the entertainment industry that everyone on this planet really can relate to, because all these characters are people that you have in your life. They don't work in entertainment, but they're the same type of person. So I knew it was time to start writing the story and speak a truth that needed to come up. And the only way to kind of exorcise, let's say, that demon out of me was to write it. So
May I encourage you as a friend to just keep going. I like this idea of you as an author. Like it, and it. See, I haven't gone through the entire thing. I'm probably.
I know you just got it. I'm so.
I just got to me on page 70, so I kind of stopped there. But it's. I think I'm encouraging you as a friend to kind of keep this idea going of you as an author. I really, really like Jay Manuel, author.
You know what I like?
Oh, it's so sexy, honey.
What I like about Jay Manuel, the author, is he's vulnerable. And when we look at Jay Manuel, the magic, you're Teflon. And I think I use that word when I describe you. Like he's Teflon, nothing phases him. And even if there is disarray, you can't see it. And so what I love about you as an author is that you show the multifaceted, the duality of who you are, having to be on and having to be appropriate and professional, but you're still a human, you're still a person, you still feel. And then, so for us who have been fans and adored you, we now feel like we even know you even more because your vulnerability through your writing is just, I love it. I absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted, and again, there's a lot of me in Pablo. There's a lot of Pablo that is not me. But ultimately what I learned, and I did not even think about this till I finished the piece and was handing it off, was I just kind of had this epiphany where I was sitting there one day and I thought, I'm actually kind of in all these characters. So these flaws, the struggles, the fears, they're ultimately coming from me. And so that's what I meant by early on when I said I learned the most about myself.
Yes.
We even get to see Pablo. I mean, he's not perfect and he starts to stray. And you just hope while you're reading that he's going to come back. And so I wanted people to feel that. So it was, and that's one thing my writing mentor was great for, because I remember in an early draft, I think it was draft 1 or 2, she said, you see this paragraph right here? This paragraph's an entire chapter and you got to explore it and you got to go there and you got to feel it. And she really pushed me, and I'm glad that she pushed me because I essentially would have to go back to the drawing board and do the work myself. So again, signing these.
I really
is
want to
amazing.
thank you. I really want to thank you for the red lace front that came in the PR package.
You're welcome. Yes.
Because girl, all of my wigs are crunchy and full of L-net, and they, amongst other things,
I don't know,
and
Eva's
whiskey.
gonna go over your braids, girl.
It's
She's
a good
trying to make it work.
one. It's a good one. Like I could.
She is trying to make that lace front work.
Honey, this
apart.
You will make it work.
Alter ego. Remember when you made me Jessica Rabbit?
We
Oh
did
my
do your
God.
alter egos. That's right.
That
Since
actually
you were
looks
there, that
really nice on you. Yeah, I can't wait to wear mine. I might cut mine into like a wet bob though.
Yes,
I love it. I feel like Keisha right now. And all of you can feel like Keisha too, but if you don't get your book, then you're tripping. So do yourself a favor, click the link, get your autograph copy right now. I have mine, Keaton has his.
I got mine, look.
Yours right now. Yes.
I love you wrote your quote at the top, Sutan. That's hilarious.
I did. I wrote it right at the top. Right there.
Oh yeah, you know we should read. I should read this. So, right before chapter 1, if you guys notice, there's a quote in the middle of the page. It's like right before chapter 1 starts, guys. And I'm going to read this because this actually means more than what people think it means on surface. But I wrote, yeah, the world of reality TV is not real, and yet reality television has morphed into reality. I've worked in this world of smoke and mirrors, and when the smoke dissipates, the mirror reflects the truth. And I obviously hyphened it my name. And I put that there as people go into the story because, Eva, as we were talking about before, this whole idea that that reality television is the birth mother of social media. This whole book and this it's a fun, totally laugh out loud ride, is designed to kind of force everyone to look at themselves and and examine the relationships around them. And so I hope, we shift the paradigm about how people look at power, authority, and relationships when they read this.
Well, your quote is definitely going to be my new mantra. I am going to meditate on this because this quote is everything. Starting my absolute career in reality television, I think your quote is spot on. I have seen it change since we started. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just doing.
Yep.
Now it's like a whole formula and it's like written out, and you are a pioneer of it. You have created something that has spread legs into so many other people that you have allowed them to be blessed from it. And I'm so excited that the meltdown is finally
my legs are spread. So
you know what?
There's coronavirus. Close your legs. Do you have antibodies? But it's great. It's a great time for it. It's August 3rd. It's the birthday of your book. And during this quarantine, while we're at home spending time with ourselves.
Perfect beach read. It's meant to make you, or if you're in your backyard, I guarantee you will get lost in this world and you will just be hollering. You're going to want to talk to your friends about it. It's meant to be. Yeah,
it's a great escape.
Oh, and for fans of Top Model, I've baked in Easter eggs all throughout the book, meaning things that you will recognize. Of course, there is a chapter called Meltdown. That chapter is inspired by a famous meltdown on a judging set of America's Next Top Model. So there are these little Easter eggs for fans. But if you're not a fan of Top Model or have never watched it,
then you're crazy.
But you don't even need to know the show to read the book, because the book is designed to set up the world and everything. But fans will definitely have fun trying to pick apart fact from fiction. That's why I try to weave the fiction all around all these recognizable moments. So
how long are we doing this? Because I can be with you guys all day.
I think we're wrapping up.
Are we?
What is it, storming where you are?
What? It is like it literally has started a full tsunami.
I'm sorry. I'm in Palm Springs and I'm sweating.
Well, I hope all my sunflowers aren't. Did my sunflowers fall over? Oh my God, I'm so sad.
I know. I've seen your sunflowers on social.
I
my God.
planted 36 sunflowers around my house, and they're like 6 feet tall. They're fabulous.
Well,
But they're
thanks.
not as fabulous as this book. And I have my signed copy. The question is, do all of your fans have their signed copies?
Mhm.
If not, click the link right there. It's either below, above, or maybe to the side. Click the link and you can get your signed copy of Jay Manuel's new novel just released today. Get yours. I've got mine. Tutan, you got yours. Where's it at?
Yes, and I mentioned on page 70 at the top of the page.
Sujan, you're hilarious.
I would like to believe I'm Keisha, so you know.
Well, you know, there are several different people to kind of inspire Keisha, but I think people have fun reading her. And you know, again, today the kind of the synergy today. There's 3 of us. You're Cycle 3 Drag Race winner. Eva's Cycle 3 America's Next Top Model winner. It's August 3rd. I think there's just this trifecta thing going on.
The number.
Yes, threes.
Someone play the numbers on the lottery and split it. It might have to be me. I'm fine.
Tutan, don't go missing once you hit those numbers, okay?
Because we're splitting it 3 ways.
We're splitting it 3 ways.
We are 3 ways.
We're
We're a throuple.
Yeah, we're a throuple. Well, I am going to sit back and finish. I have about 20 more pages left of my book to read. So I'm going to sit back and read the rest of my book. You're on page 70, I see, Sutan, where you found your name.
Yes, and I'm going to go back in the pool for a minute and get that good golden tan layer. And then probably take a nap, then read the book before dinner. That's all I got today. That is my only goals today.
You got your wine.
So you see what our goals
gone,
are.
baby.
Oh, God.
Make sure you get your goal together. Click the link, get your book, because it's really cool to have a book, but to have it autographed, signed by the author, that's one of a kind. I have a huge bookshelf. I only have a few autographed signed copies. So Jay, I adore you. I love you. Your book is going to blow off the shelf, and I'm so glad I already got mine because I don't have to wait for your reorders because it's going to go crazy.
Eva, Sutan, I love you guys dearly. Thank you for doing this. And honestly, guys, you see all these books here? You should see the boxes sitting there. I am going to continue signing so that they can be shipped right back up to Premier Collectibles so they can get everyone's book.
I say you just take that blazer and t-shirt off and just do it shirtless and go for it, babe. That's its own video. Ow.
Ow. And just so everyone knows, this is a handwritten signature. It's not a stamp. It's not his assistant or his team. This is the same signature I saw Jay Manuel sign zillion thousand years ago. So he's literally autographing your copy. Order it now. They're flying off the shelves, and it is a little bit of escape from this crazy world.
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay, Eva, Jay, I love you both. Have a wonderful day. 3 is the number. 3 is the number.
Yes, for the meltdown.
I love you guys so much. Congratulations, Jay. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you again, guys. Bye.
Bye. Love you.